The most recent episode of Rick and Morty was certainly one for the books. They took every single subversion of our expectations that they had pulled off throughout the entire series so far, and somehow cranked it up to 10. Every single scene was set up, got us invested, then thrown away to make us feel disappointed, yet somehow brought back again in ways that seemed somehow both logical and nonsensical. They essentially trolled the audience, but why does this show do this to begin with? Well, Rick and Morty is a show that is often described as nihilistic, which to put simply just means that the show operates under the philosophy that nothing matters. This is so intrinsic to the show's DNA that Rick actually says this quite often. Now, there are many different interpretations to nihilism, some considered positive and some considered negative, and the show seems to be exploring those different avenues along its way, as opposed to situating itself on just a single train of thought from the get-go. One particularly negative option, however, is that nothing matters, and therefore it is meaningless to care about just about anything, with the overall goal of this mindset being to care as little as possible. This is something the show explores quite a bit, with this week's episode, Never Ricking Morty, being the crowning achievement of this exploration. The nature of storytelling is to create a narrative where the characters go on a journey, and at the end of that journey the characters learn something, with the goal being that it is relatable enough now or at some point in the future that the philosophy it imparted resonates with you and helps you in your personal life. This new episode, on the other hand, used its narrative against its viewers with the hope of teaching them a lesson in real life by trolling its audience. The episode opens with Rick in a disguise on a train, overhearing many stories from various beings throughout the universe who all appear to have had some interaction with him in the past. Some had romance, some are seeking revenge, and others just had one-off adventures, but none of them are actually real. The evil genius of this episode is that the first few cutaways are complete, giving us a full story or a joke, setting us up to expect the same later. Instead, the following cutaways show us a glimpse of really interesting stories, oftentimes ones that fans have been dying to see in the show, and then returns back to the framework story on the train just as it's getting good. Then, after establishing this new pattern, the episode turns it on its head by having Rick and Morty's own narrative within the train being sporadic, with the entire opening act setting up the plot being revealed to just be a training video on that same train. A training video being watched by Rick and Morty, who continue with the same plot from the training video, giving it a very disjointed narrative that you just can't trust. They take this yet another step further by showing us a series of things that could be canon, possible future plotlines not yet explored, with the implication that seeing them here means that they will never actually be experienced in the real narrative. Several of these flashes include scenes with Evil Morty and the Ricks of the Citadel, with a truly epic climax being Evil Morty controlling all of the Ricks of the multiverse like he controlled his own Rick back in Season 1. Episodes involving the Citadel of Ricks and previously the Council of Ricks are generally considered favorites to the audience. These episodes tend to have a slightly more serious plot, one where the consequences feel more important, with the events having more continuity than anything else in the show outside of the family's internal dynamics. These episodes are not just action-packed, they are dramatic, they're sometimes thematic, and often very emotional. These things resonate with people and it causes them to care, and caring is something the writers find almost insulting. So, on April 1st, as the perfect April Fool's prank, a trailer was released for the second half of this season of Rick and Morty, with a number of shots featuring the Ricks of the multiverse. Fans got hype, with tons of videos, some of them on the same day, popping up, breaking down the trailer and talking about the plots that could be, and how excited everyone was to see the return of this storyline. All of those shots in the trailer, however, turned out to be essentially non-canon stories from this one particular episode, a giant April Fool's prank that got everyone excited for what was to come, only to reveal it wasn't going to happen, using the show against its viewers to punish them for caring. To make it worse, just as you're getting comfortable with this final direction of the episode, that these are all non-existent adventures that Rick and Morty are experiencing, at least as simulations on this train, it pulls back to reveal that all of this is happening to a simulated Rick and Morty within a toy train produced at the Citadel of Ricks, and that the real Rick and Morty are just watching the train go round in circles in their living room. It's a funny but kind of harsh way to impart a philosophy to your audience, one that is only the latest step in the evolution of this approach, as it has pulled similar twists with seemingly similar goals before. And that personally worries me, because it implies that the show might want to find increasingly crazy ways to escalate the way they troll their audience as it goes on, perhaps ending the series with a giant middle finger of purposely setting up plot lines and then never wrapping them up, a fate we're used to when shows get cancelled unexpectedly, but not something we would want purposely done to us after years of building up crazy storylines and making us care about these characters. But of course, that is only one option. In fact, part of their escalation of trolling may be destroying our expectations for more Citadel of Rick stories, and then actually giving us that episode. Just because there weren't more shots of the Citadel in the trailer doesn't mean they can't still have an episode about it this year. But only time will tell. That's all I got for you guys today, but if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, maybe go over to our Utip page where you can give us a tip, or you could even watch an ad to help support the channel. See you guys next time.